Not enough to fill that pool. We're live at the courthouse. I'm Ryan Elijah.
All right, Ryan, thank you. And joining us right now to talk more about what is happening at the courthouse is defense attorney Diana Tennis. Always good to see you, Diana. It was interesting listening to these jurors hear more about the sequestration. You and I were talking in the break there about how jurors are paid. And I thought this was interesting. I didn't realize this, but they're paid, what, about $10 a day? Is that right?
Yeah, just this little minimal amount. And even though your employer by law cannot punish you for being on a jury, they don't have to hold your job for you either. And certainly there's a lot of employers of particularly low-scale paying folks who are not going to be able to hold a job open for a month. That just isn't going to happen, which is why you have people who have hardships, which is why I think this morning you're going to have a couple more people who have all night to think about just how horrible this will be, and we may have some more discussions about that today.
Wow, interesting. Okay, so we heard the line of questioning from Bernie De La Rianda yesterday, the prosecution's line of questioning. What do you expect to hear from the defense attorneys when they get up there to talk to these jurors today?
Well, Mark O'Meara really benefits from the fact that the state was up there for 5 hours and really got so much information on each juror that I think it's going to allow the defense to really zero in on the jurors they do not want to either explore how badly they don't like this juror compared to that juror, or do they have enough to get that juror taken off for cause. It occurs to me that the level, the bar for cause has been set really high in this case because the judge wants the lawyers to have to use their preemptories, because that is the only way we're going to get a jury of 6 and 4 alternates, is to have the lawyers use their preemptories instead of not. Because if you do the numbers, we're never going to get a jury if you take out 10 people for cause and then both the lawyers get their 10. That's 30. The math doesn't work. So I think she's going to make it real hard for them to get rid of jurors for cause at this point.
Diana, I was reading with great interest Beth Kassab's column this morning in the Orlando Sentinel, talking about comparing this trial to the Casey Anthony trial of 2 years ago. And she said there's really no comparison. She even talked about the fact that when they did jury selection, which we've all been talking about, it's sort of a mundane process. Even when they did jury selection in the Casey trial, even though the jury selection was over in Clearwater, not even here, she said that they filled up that courtroom every day, that all of the public seats were full. And she gave an example of just the other day, they had 24 seats set aside for this case. They had 4 people who showed interest, but only one of them actually showed up. Have you been surprised about the lack of interest and the difference in these two cases?
Well, maybe. I can't really explain that when it comes to the jury selection, because it is, to the outside world, a fairly dull affair. I think really when we're going to find out what this case means to the community as far as interest in seeing it up close and personal is going to be Monday morning opening statements. That's when we're really going to find out what kind of level of interest that there's going to be throughout the rest of the trial. Jury selection, I think it's noteworthy that there's that kind of difference. You got to keep in mind, though, that the place where they pick the jury in the Casey Anthony trial has a lot more retirees and perhaps people with time on their hands. Do you want to really take time off work to go deal with jury selection, or do you want to save it for the good stuff? I think there's going to be people out there saving it for the good stuff.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I agree. 8:08 right now. Thank you so much. Always good to talk to you, defense attorney Diana Tennis. And remember, you can